Reach for the sky. It's our Halloween episode.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Welcome to Hair Mafia. Today's a fun one. They're all fun, but I don't know. We got to dress up.
Yes.
I'm in a little bodysuit.
Oh, yeah. Whatever it is I'm doing. This is how I look in the mornings anyway. Ain't no different.
I wish I looked like a skeleton.
I know, right? So yeah, happy Halloween. Today is our Halloween episode.
And we have fun stories to tell you, but
Yes.
Should we recap our week? Or, I don't know, I kind of had like an interesting weekend.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I don't even know where to start. I don't remember what I did Friday, but let's go with Saturday. So, I went to the club, been working on my body. Legit, I never run around the club without a shirt on. I mean, I had like a tank top, like undershirt on.
Yeah.
And let me backtrack. That's how it that was the middle of the story. But I like cleaned out my whole closet. So I had to buy like all new clothes, right? And my friend Mikey, he's just like, oh my gosh, like, can I help you? Like, I love this, duh. We bought some great items, duh. And I was like, it's hot in the club. And I was just like, I'm just going to take my shirt off. And I got like all this attention. I was like, if this is what it's like to be a woman, like I was being catcalled, I was being rubbed on, I was being grabbed. I was like, I need this attention, but it was from just all kinds. Some I wanted, some I didn't.
Like too much.
I was overwhelmed. So then we end up in the parking lot and this guy comes up and he's like, hey, Miss Girl, hey, Miss Thing, blah, blah. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I'm from everywhere. And I was like, what does this mean? So then he points to somebody I kind of know and he's like, hold on, I think I know that bitch from a long time ago and I think we had a problem. So I'm like, hey, come over here. I was like, he says he thinks he has a problem. He goes, well, I don't even remember him to know if we had a problem. He was like, don't play like you don't know me.
Oh.
Then he turns to me and he's like, why'd you bring that over here? And I was like, bring what over here? He was like, you just trying to pushes me in my throat.
What?
Yes. Like, I'm like, ugh. So then I run over to this guy that is like literally like, he's being so nice. He's like, what you doing? After this, I said, going to bed. And he was like, who's bed? And I was like, oh, don't be nasty. So I don't think about it. So my friend has a concealed carry. Like legit. They both are like ready to pull out guns.
Where was this outfit then?
No, for real. And I'm just like, no, it ain't that serious. But I was like, they needed a sheriff in town. Wait, where's my motherfucking
Right here.
Oh, there we go. Anyways, so that was just like the highlight of my weekend. I cussed a couple of people out just because I got anger issues. Whatever. Deep breathing wasn't going to cut it. That's it.
Way more eventful than mine.
Girl, I feel like you did something, but what was it?
I feel like I didn't. I just feel like I did. I did hair Saturday all day. We have some new people working with us, so I got to work with Raquel. That was fun.
Hey, Raquel.
Hey, girl.
She want to be on the podcast.
Yes. That's basically it. I did nothing. And then Sunday and Monday, I cleaned my house. So that's good.
I mean, that's still, yeah, that's
My
a
life
good
is pretty
weekend.
boring and I'm old. I wish I could say I did something crazy. I'm just going to start making stuff up. I'm just going to like write out a fake story every week before we come on here.
I mean, I like lying about myself.
Okay. I can do that.
Oh, real quick though, I was
Yeah.
putting on the stupid costume, which I love it. I scared the piss out of myself. So there's like I don't know if you see it. There's like a pull string on. So I'm walking out the door and it bounces. I thought somebody touched me and I ran into a wall. Like I thought somebody was in my apartment and went like this to grab me.
Ooh, scary.
I was so scared.
That is scary.
Anyways,
Oh, and I've been wanting to see that Smile movie.
I went to see it.
What?
Yes. It's scary.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's more, of course, more scary in the theater, but I'm like,
You're right.
there's like some gore, but I'm like, it's cliche, but it presents this in a way that you don't expect it.
Right, because a lot of stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll watch it. There's a few jumpy parts or whatever.
No.
But this looks really weird.
Because it's like a psychological thriller. And
Even better.
I think I appreciate that it doesn't really explain much about it. It's like, this is just what it is. But it was good.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend scary movies. But what is your all-time favorite, like, scary movie that you think is scary? Or maybe we can do top 3.
Okay, so I think The Conjuring 2 is probably, I'm not going to say it's number one because I can't just think of a number one right now, but The Conjuring 2 is just freaky. The Nun in that movie scares me. Now, I've seen the Nun movie. I'm like, man, I'll pop you in your mouth. You are not, it's not scary. The Nun to me was never scary. I'm like, okay, why are these people? But in that movie, her character freaks me out.
Yes.
And it's just like quiet and there's no music. But that whole story, I think, is kind of scary.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of a...
Annabelle weirds me out. I wouldn't say like it's a scary movie, but I'm just like, just dolls.
Yeah, dolls in
like
general.
Like that kind of stuff, because we just like think, oh, dolls are cute or whatever. And I'm like, this raggedy braid bitch, like whatever.
Yeah. That's your scariest?
No, that's not my scariest. So, dang, there was one I was going to say before that, but my scariest movie, have you ever heard of The Strangers?
Oh, with Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler. Yes. Nobody knows this movie.
No, I know
I want to spoil it so
good.
bad.
It's so
but I
good.
will say, movies that scare the piss out of me are based on a true story. Because at the end, they like tell you like this, like,
this
they
happened.
made a whole movie out of like 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 sentences. And I'm just like,
yeah.
what?
And it's good acting too, because she's actually a great actress.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it wasn't gory. It was just like suspense, horror. And that's what really, really gets me. I got choked up thinking about it.
A few episodes we had talked about, like the Jeffrey Dahmer. That's scary to me. And I almost didn't want to watch like the Netflix series just because I'm like, okay, this really did happen. How are they going to portray it? Do the victims' families know? So I was kind of weird about watching it, but it wasn't gory. Yeah. Even from the beginning, I'm like, my palms are sweating. It's just intense.
It was so tense in the beginning because you were just like, is this guy gonna die or live?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I was just like, this is going on and on. And I'm like, that's probably what it was like in real life. Like,
oh, yeah.
I just like, I almost wanted to turn it off because I'm like, I was just like starting to like itch. I'm just like, come, like just.
Yeah.
And then how come nobody like murdered him? You know what I'm saying? Like, if like kill or be killed.
Well, no, because I think that guy got away, but I think most of the men that he met were in the club. They said that he was pretty charming, and I think that they were just having a good time. And he like, I'm not gonna like tell a bunch of stories, but I mean, I've gone home with people from the club, not thinking, you know, and or just even like drinking with friends or whatever afterwards. He would put things in their drink, and then that was it. Then it was like over. I don't think he like was doing all these
which is not a
horrible things
alert, but it's just like I wonder how he like that victim got away because he was still drugged. You know what I mean? It was like, how did he fight that so hard? But I think he didn't really drink it.
I don't think that he drank that much because he was like, I want to leave. Because I think most or all of the men who wanted, or who, they didn't want to leave. They would just drink. They'd be like, oh, okay. And they would.
Yeah, it was a good time. After party.
Right. They were just like listening to music. But he was like, I don't want to drink. So I think he had tried to give him something, and maybe he acted like, or he had drank half of it.
Shoot, I don't drink, so I'd be like, I don't want this, drink me.
Oh, I'm sure he would have.
Okay.
So,
today,
after all that talk.
Yeah, to get on topic, because I'm just so excited about this.
Yes. So,
take it away.
Okay, so this is our Halloween episode. So, first, I just want to ask... Well, first off, I just want to say we don't like talking about scary clients. I mean, we do. Let me just rephrase. We totally do, but
we don't want to villainize.
We don't want to villainize anybody.
The person in the scary story.
Well, I mean, I'm not the perfect hairstylist by any means. Like, I've made mistakes. I've done all that type of stuff, and basically,
not me.
The stories that we're going to bring up today. I mean, these are like very rare. Like, you know, 1% people. Maybe some of them are still our clients, and they're totally cool with that. We're still not going to say any names. But AJ, so like, what to you makes a client scary?
So I think
the lady today. Okay. But.
Oh my gosh. Can we do her as an honorable mention?
Yes, she can be the honorable mention because we're counting down our
top 5 scary hair stories.
Scary clients.
Or scary clients.
Yeah, but it goes on to one.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand. So it's not, I think it's more so like the client's response to like what I did to their hair that makes it scary.
Yes.
So anyway, so this lady comes in. I've never met her. She's coming in for extension consultation. Oh my gosh, she's done everything under the sun to her hair. the consultation, which I don't mind. I kind of plan for 30 minutes.
My client was scared. She's like, well,
no. And I was trying not to laugh because I can see there's mirrors everywhere. And y'all were like, and I was like, so I like turned at one point and I was like, ugh. So she was telling, and again, too, it's funny because we kind of even talked about this like in consultation and like, when should you turn away a client or something like that? And it was like teetering.
Yeah.
But she was super sweet, whatever. We said hold off on the extensions, but like, so her hair was like really blonde, but then there was just like all this gold in her hair. And I was like, what are you doing to your hair? So she's like, oh my gosh, I live all over the country. I do this, I do that. I've gone to the top stylist in OKC. And I'm like, well, who is she? She's like, I don't want to say, but they didn't do this to my hair. And then she was like, I'm going to like this top stylist in Dallas. And I go to this top stylist in LA. And I'm like, again, respectfully, she has breakage and a mullet. And she was like, she goes, I took in a picture to my girl who's like a friend of the family, yada, yada, yada. And this kind of really wasn't her fault. I said I wanted to be white, blonde, this, that, and the other. And she was like, I honestly just need somebody that's going to tell me no. And I was like, I have no problem with that. I know my limits. I said, but we need to start off with, you need a color correction. So then she's like, I use all these products. I get my tape-ins off of Amazon. What I love about tape-ins is if they fall out, I can put them back in. And I said, maybe that's a problem. You're doing too much yourself. She goes, well, I don't do a whole lot in my life. 3 seconds later, I got to be everywhere all the time. So I just have to like be able to do my hair on the go. I can't always like get into it. I said, if I do your hair, I need you to commit to me for like 6 months and like, you need to be consistent. And she was like, I think I can do that. And I said, what products are you using? She was like, oh, I use Olaplex. I use this, I use that. And I said, maybe that's your problem. She goes, no, it's not, because like this used to be this short and now it's like growing out. And I'm like, it's still 3 inches. Like, I just don't know. Ooh. It's business in the front, party in the back, literally. And she was like, I just use these kits on my hair. And I'm like, kits? What are kits? And she goes, oh, they're all over the place. Like, dude. And I was like, kits. Still don't know what she's talking about. And then she said she has like a hair closet. She was like, I have sections. She was like, I have tape-ins. I have this. I have dude. And I said, okay, well, we specialize in hand tied. I'm not opposed to doing a few tape-ins, this and that. I was like, honestly, I feel like you need them because there are just areas we can't fill in. And she was like, she was like, so what you're saying is I need to take a break from doing what I'm doing and just wear my clip-ins. And I was like, oh my gosh. Sure. Put the clip-ins
my
in.
Thoughts exactly.
I mean, I get it. She was like, I just need enough hair to like put in a bun. And I was like, I mean, you could just wear like a drawstring ponytail. I don't know. But anyways, that's
honorable mention.
Yeah, an honorable mention. I'm sure there's something that's going to come to mind. But
so these, we're going to count down from the 5. These are actually, I don't want to say like of the year, because obviously we just started this podcast. And then AJ and I, we've worked together like just a year and a half, I guess. So
April of last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are probably all time. I mean, we could count down like the top 30 of all time, but like these are like the really.
These are good stories to tell.
These are like the crazy stories that people are like, how, I can't even believe that this happened to you. I mean, you know, or you know, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. And it's real life.
So take it away with number 5.
So number 5. Here we go. This lady's drop dead gorgeous. I have to start with that. Like, you just look at her. I mean, I don't know. It's just like we get so many pretty people. And I'm not saying that even so, like, just universally, they don't come in with a stitch of makeup. They have like this soft gaze, whatever. She has long, beautiful hair. She comes in, and I actually met her in hair school, but she has curly hair. And so I look at her hair and I'm like, again, like for some reason, I don't know how I'm able to do this. And maybe, can you tell when somebody split in is from like heat damage versus like other kind of like mechanical damage or whatever? Well, she had like these weird bulbs on all of her hair. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing? She's like, I have curly hair and I hate it. And I'm like, what? She shows me a picture, beautiful curly hair. So then we go through like the gamut of things. She uses herbal essences. She doesn't use a deep conditioner. She doesn't use a heat protectant. She's like, well, if I do use one, it's like Tresemme. That's not to knock these products, but
right. Anybody listening, better. But yeah, definitely.
There's better. There's more beneficial products, I should say. But but something's better than nothing, I guess. She had her she had her heat tools on the highest setting. She's like, that's the only way I know how to get my hair straight. And I'm like, so what she would do, she like let her hair air dry, and then she would try and straighten. I'm like, you need to blow dry your hair. Like, that's gonna cut out probably a lot of the heat that you're, putting on your hair. And she's like, okay, I'll think about it. Then she asked me for products.
I'll think about it.
She did. She literally was like, I'll think about it. Not trying to be in her like pocketbook, but she told me what she did. She made a decent amount of money. So I was like, hey, here are the products that I would recommend. She's like, those are expensive. And I was like, okay. Did her hair. She loved it. Blah, blah, blah. One of my favorite pictures that I've ever posted in hair school. So she comes back to me like a year later and she's like, hey, you're at the salon. Are you whatever? I'm like, yeah. So she books an appointment. I do like this balayage on it. It's cute. We're going through it at the finish line. Because again, in school, like ash was the whole thing. So I was adding like things to cancel the color. So she was like, oh, I just want this like warm color. But going to back what I thought I knew, I was putting like P's and V's in there, even just like a dash of it. So I do this root smudge, warm, blended. Her hair turns like gray. And I'm like, what? And I mean, we had been there for like 4 hours. And she's like, well, I got to go. Then she's like, I don't not like the color. She was super sweet about it. And I'm like, all right, just come back whenever you can. Like, it won't take long for me to like retone your hair. So then she was like, yeah, I don't want to be that blonde. And I was like, well, you didn't even say, like, it wasn't like really blonde. She just didn't want her tone to be like that light.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do it darker, whatever. Tone her hair. She goes, wow, this is really dark, but my mama love it. And I'm like, okay. So here's where it goes south. So it starts raining for like 3 days. And that's like a key factor in the story to me. So she sends me like this long Facebook message, which I always thought was kind of weird because she's like messaging me on Facebook Messenger. And I kind of forgot that we were like friends on there, but she had my number. So already I'm like, whatever. And she wasn't mean, but she like went on like these big paragraphs. She was like, I really don't know what you did to my hair. Like I've tried to straighten it. It's frizzy. When it's curly, it just looks whatever. I have it up in a bun. I think when you toned my hair, it fried it. And I was like... I said, color doesn't fry it. I mean, like it can be damaging. I was like, it actually would take like a lot for me to like mess it up. And she goes, well, I can't even curl it. This is how I hear her in my voice. I mean, in my head. I'm like, what? And so I said, send me a picture. She's like, well, I'm laying down right now. And I said, well, I would love to figure out what's going on with your hair. And
I thought she didn't like it curly.
Well, so she like burns it straight and then curls it.
And then puts like nice waves.
And she was just like, I can't do it. So again, I'm like stalking her page and I'm like, what is she talking about? Because her hair actually doesn't look much different. And so I said, it could be the weather. And she's like, no, I could always do my hair no matter what the weather was. And I'm like, it's super humid. It's been raining for like 3.5 days.
Yeah.
And then she said, she goes, I guess I'll get to it when I can or something like along those lines. And I said, please come in. But side note, people, so if you're a stylist, please take a before and after picture, whether you're going to post or not. Like that will be your saving grace. Because I said, I have a ton of pictures of your hair. And I said, if your hair was having all this trouble, then why was I able to do it? I said, it could be something that you're doing different. I haven't done anything different. And I was like, okay. And it was like really super, because I mean, she just kind of went back and forth. And then I said, hey, I'll do your hair for free. I just need to come look at it. I'll put in like a deep conditioner or whatever. And she was like, I just don't know if I have time for that. And I was like, please just like give me a chance to fix it. I know this will be like the third time, whatever. She just leaves me on red. So right out of hair school, I kind of just like, it? Yeah, that was it. Never heard from her again or whatever.
Oh no.
So yeah, I was like, oh, I just hate that I didn't get to like resolve it. Or, you know, she could just be like, no, screw you or whatever. So for some reason, she kept popping up on my timeline. And so I just unadded her because I couldn't bear to look at it anymore.
But she didn't unadd you.
No.
Then you won. It's fine. I'm just
no, for real. But I'm like, that's a horror story because I felt really bad about it. But it's just like, I really did try and go above and beyond. And she was just like, no. Like, that's what it felt like. It was just like this brick wall of things.
I hate it whenever that happens. You're like, let me do this, let me do that. No, I'm not happy, but no.
Yes.
Okay, so do you...
And again, too, I was just like, I did purposefully like tone her hair darker because I knew she was using product that was going to strip her hair. And like I thought, because I looked at from the time I did her hair, literally like a month later, her hair was like back to raw lift. And she was just like, she wouldn't let me cut it. She wouldn't let me do anything. She's like, I like my length, but it's so unmanageable. And I was like, it's unmanageable because you got like split ends that are like 2 inches. But what do I know?
But yeah, what do I know?
Never been back. Don't know what she's doing.
Well.
But don't worry, these stories get better. That was just like...
That's a good story.
I mean, I feel like the ones that we're going to tell later are just
still, that's number 5.
Yeah.
Scary.
To this day. It haunts me.
Yes.
Like on brand, like I think about that, like those memes where people are like waking up at 3 and remembering hair I did like 5 years ago. Like that's literally me. I'm just like, I should just stab myself in the heart with shears.
No.
I'm not suicidal.
Okay, so number 4. This is a client horror story, and I was scared, and I don't know. Well, I don't even really know what she was doing. No, I'm gonna try not to make this story too long because it's like a 2-day story. So
okay.
I was just about 2 years out of 2 or 3 years in, maybe. Okay. I was doing I-tip extensions only, so I'm just like, cool, getting it, whatever. She comes to me, new client. She's a little rough around the edges. I mean, she's got missing teeth and like chest tattoos, but I mean, she's nice, you know? And so she's like, I just like need a new hairstylist because like my last one like fucked me over. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm your girl or whatever. So super sweet, like super sweet. Alls we did, she was like, my hair's thin. Alls we did was like highlights and put in like, if anybody knows what I-tips are, they're like strands, but we put in like 2 bundles of I-tips just for like fullness.
I call it predator hair. Because like when the hair splits, it's like,
yeah, it's like,
y'all got some dreads or something.
Yeah. So she loved it. She came to me for about a year and a half, and then we expanded to our bigger salon in South Oklahoma City at the time. Not a big deal, but I noticed she kept getting like more and more like erratic and like always in a hurry, trying to get out of there. Always like, what are we putting on my hair today? What and just
kind of like impatient.
Yeah, but just like questions that she's never asked before. Like we weren't even having normal conversations at that point. Like, how's your husband? How's this? I mean, kids? What you been doing this past few weeks? Like nothing. It was just like, what are we putting in my hair today? Okay, well, all right, whatever. So she was kind of consistently like showing up later and later. Well, so it was a Friday. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and I already had an assistant back then, so I was like double booking myself. I booked my first one at 10, and then I booked this person at 11. So after I got foiling at 10, she would come in, and I would start foiling her, and my assistant would blow dry. You know how it works. So she shows up like 45 minutes late, and I was like, hey, what's up, or whatever. And I was like, I tried to text you, and she's like, yeah, well, my phone's not working. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I don't have time to do the full appointment. We can either like move up your extensions or we can just like highlight the top of your hair like we normally do. She goes, we'll just take these fucking things out because they're just too fucking expensive anyway. And and like, I'm like, okay, have a seat. So I take out her extensions.
Oh, she wasn't even in the chair?
No, this is hers. She's standing. She's just standing there. She won't even sit down.
That one lady, it's like, that makes me anxious. I'm like, why you
just
sit down and we can talk.
Have a seat. And she kept like F. I mean, I know I'm saying the F word, but she was just like, her. And I'm like, okay. So I take out her extensions. I put them up for her, and I foiled like the mohawk section and then like a partial highlight. I literally put her under the heat for maybe 2 minutes, and I was telling my assistant what to tone my client with because she was ready to be rinsed and all this. She's like, I gotta go. I gotta leave. And she like flips up her like bonnet dryer, and I was like, you're not even finished like processing. Like we just put it on there. And she's like, I gotta go. I need to eat. And I'm like,
that's why she had to leave.
And I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like, okay, but we have to like rinse you out. So we literally rinse her out. She's gone. She doesn't, whatever. She's out. So she doesn't pay. I don't even want her to pay at that point. I'm like, okay, no, this is terrible.
Been there.
Next day, she calls me. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what got into me. Talking about blood sugar. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, I worked late tonight. She was like, can you just finish my highlight? Sure. She goes, actually, I want to be like, she shows me this picture of dark Ombre, whenever ombre was in.
Yes.
But her problem is she had no sides. That's what we used to fill in. So I was like, okay, if you don't want to put your extensions back in, it's going to look really bad. It may look okay from the back, but on the sides, this is not going to look good for you. This is just going to be super dark here, and you're not going to see any blonde. She's like, I already told you the extensions are too expensive. And I'm like, so this is where I'm always like, you just have to say no. Because, of course, I'm like, okay, let's do it. We do it. She's like, I hate it. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I've got to go. I'm like,
I shouldn't even be here anyway.
I'm like, my kids are waiting on me. Like, they weren't home alone, but like the kid's dad's like, where are you? I have plans. And I'm just like, I got to go. So I was like, so she pays. 5 a.m, my phone's blowing up. I got to get this fixed. We have Valentine's Day dinner reservations. I can't go out to eat looking like this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I can't handle you anymore. So I refunded her money, like from Square. I was like, here you go. I don't know what's gotten into you, but like I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. I was like, you're embarrassing, blah blah blah. So I go up there and curled, because this was a Sunday by this point. I go up there and I curl one of my friend's daughter's hair because she was doing like a daddy-daughter dance that Sunday.
Yeah.
This lady just walks right in. I know because we're closed on Sundays. She's like, it ain't about the money. I'm just letting you know. And I'm like, what's not about the money? And she's like, you didn't even have to refund my money. I'm good for it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do your hair anymore. Like, it's
refunded. You were there?
Because I think she was just walking around, honestly. Like she was, and I was like, if you don't leave, I was like, I'm calling the police. And then she just stormed out. And I'm like, why? So that's number 4.
Do you have the honorable mention? You know what my favorite story is.
You already said an honorable mention.
I know, but can we do another one?
Oh, yes, after we get done with these.
Okay, fine.
So that was number 4.
Because that's who I thought that was. I was like,
no. Oh, no, that's a really short story.
Okay.
So I just had to like say like how she acted because I was like, what has happened with this girl? Money. I'm like, it is now.
It's about my sanity.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay, so
number 3. This person is near and dear to my heart. And if she listens like she says she does, she'll know who she is. So this is so funny because there are some people that you just click with and you've never met them a day in your life. And like, I think even you thought, you're like, hey, do you know her? And I'm like, no. So this wonderful woman comes in, personality big as life. She got this big old purse. She got all kind of stuff in there. And she was like, hey, Jay, this is how I remember. This might not be accurate, but in my mind. She's like, you don't know me, but I follow you on social media. And she was like, when I saw your social media, she was like, that's my new hairstylist. I'm like, oh, okay. Again, this is when I first started at Lotus in June. And I'm usually at the Paseo by myself. And she's like, yeah, like, she was like, now you might know of me. I said, I don't even remember. I was like, I don't even know people's names half the time. I'm like, I might call you the wrong name. So she's like, oh, I'm famous. And I'm all like, oh, yeah, dude, somebody famous here. But again, I'm just like, who are you? And she was like, she goes, about a couple years ago, I was taken out of a hair salon in an ambulance. And I was like, huh? She was like, She was. She sent me the post. Like, I think it was like on the day, I was like, something like it was our hair anniversary or something like that. Cause like it'll pop up on my time hop. And I'm like, if it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did your hair a year ago. And she was like, it's funny you would send me this. Cause she was like, this is the anniversary when I got taken out of to the hospital. So she tells me like this long story. And she's like, I was getting my hair done. I was getting it bleached. And I think they put like bleach on the scalp. And she had an allergic reaction to it, and her whole face swelled up.
No
and like,
way.
Yeah, so I think it's called like an MMD allergy or something that it's like rare that people are like allergic to it, and it's like in a lot of lightener. Like you have to get a special lightener. And she was like, basically like it just puffed up instantly, and they didn't know what to do, and I didn't have an EpiPen to do, and I was like, okay, that's what you're famous for.
You're like, nice. So we will not be doing highlights.
Not at all. So like we hit it off and she was like, I need to be blonde and I know you can do the blonde right. So like we're going through all the things, and she was like, do you watch Big Brother? And I'm like, no. She like pulls it up on her phone. She was like, this is this person, this is that person, dude. So then she starts telling me like this long story about like this past relationship, and that's her business to tell. But I'm like, girl, this is so crazy. I can't even breathe. So whatever. So then it's like, it's a small world. So then she was like, oh yeah, I kind of know if Tracy did it. And I'm like, how you know all this stuff? Turns out you kind of know a roundabout way, because it's like the guy
she is.
The guy that she dated, it was like dating this girl who actually used to be my boss when I ran a facility. And so I'm like, is this just an Oklahoma thing? Because it's all interlaced. So she's like, give me blonde, blah, blah, blah. So again, you learn from your mistakes. I'm like, okay, let's speed this process up. Because I mean, like, she has a ton of hair.
Yeah.
I put her under the dryer and I said, hey, if it gets too hot, just get up and leave. And we had like that really powerful, like, it goes around, heats everything up. And at the time we had an upstairs, and I said, but you don't need to be under there longer than 5 minutes. I hope you guys think this is funny, because if only you had the visual, which she does want to like co-host one day. So I'm like, you'll probably hear this story twice. So I'm out there doing my thing. I'm like, let me get the toners. Let me do this, blah, blah, blah. What am I going to glaze it with? All I hear is, I like literally drop it. And I'm like, girl, what is wrong? I'm like yelling over the balcony. And she was like, it burns. I said, why are you still, like, I'm yelling at her like we've been friends for years. I'm like, why are you still under the dryer? Get from under the heater. She was like, can you check it? And I'm like, well, duh, I'm coming.
Yeah. She
had sat on there for like 12 minutes, and her hair was like see-through, and I didn't tell this part. Like, her hair melted off in the back. It was dripping. It was dripping down her back, and that, because I thought she was saying her head burned. She was like, it's just hot on my neck. I said, oh, it's just on your cake. Yeah, it dripped down her back, and she had like all these burns. I don't know if she knew it was a burn. I was like, it's real red. I said, why were you still under there, girl? And she goes, I was trying to thug it out for my blonde. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
For real? She was like, it was working. She was like, it was worth it. I don't fucking regret it. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
That's our origin story. She ain't left me since, except one time, I ain't lying, I should have whooped your ass for this. She had an event and she couldn't get in, which, another side note, it was just a washing style, but I felt betrayed because she went and got it done at the hair school for like $10. And she was like shouting this girl out. And I said, these Shirley Temple curls and you shouting them out? But it was kind of cute or whatever. And she said everybody complimented my color work. And I was
okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I forgave her. But yeah, she was like, this coworker of mine said that she could cover up my roots, and she was like, I know you're gonna kill me. And I said, I already want to, because I don't like this story. Somebody put black on her roots. It was like a level 4 for her root touch up. And I said, you should have just went with the gray. I said, so you just gonna undo all my, I was cussing, but she knows I love her. I said, you gonna undo all my MF and work? And she was like, I'm sorry, don't divorce me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the only D word I use is a different one, but whatever. But yeah, that was a scary story, because I really didn't know what to do.
I've never had bleach drip on anybody. That is scary.
No, it was like water. And her hair was like, you know when you like cook noodles too long? That's what it looked like. You just see through it.
Yeah.
It was like angel hair pasta.
That's not good. But
I won't do that to anybody else though. I swear. Cool. Are you ready for number 2? Because this was almost like a beginning for us. That's when we started like DMing more, because you were like going at it with people.
Yeah, because
they were coming for you though.
We this was a weird day, so I'm gonna try to shorten this story, because it's like a 2-week story, but we're not gonna go into all of that. We're gonna call this one the Lion Queen. I don't even.
And it scarred you.
Scar. Mufasa. So I did this girl's hair probably 5, 6. Well, this happened in 2021. Yes. So I did this girl's hair about 5-6 years ago. She would always come to me with some hair horror story, tragedy, hair falling out. I tried to do it myself. I went here, I went there. It was terrible.
Can't nobody get it right.
Yeah, all the things. And she had never complained. I'm like, girl, you don't really have much to work with, because it was either super like compromised and damaged already, or brassy, just all these things. So she fell off the face of the earth. She messages me, hey, I moved back. I want extensions in color, like work your magic. Like, oh my God, I'm like so excited. I'm like, well, I don't really have any openings for like another 5 or 6 weeks. And she's like, oh, damn. So then she goes on our online booking and books with my assistant at the time. And I was like, Maddie, like, you need to look at this girl's hair before you agree to anything, just because, like, this is why consultations are important. So
it's our philosophy.
Yes. So foundation. Maddie did not. Maddie's like, yeah, come on in. I gave her the hair. I was like, cool, whatever. Maddie did her hair. It looked great. Like, honestly, this girl came in with hair like 3 inches long on the sides, broke off. It wouldn't hold color, just all of these things. So that was a Friday. On Sunday, this Lion Queen is messaging Maddie, like harassing messages, like, you don't even know what you're doing. Why are you even doing hair? Look at how I look. She's like sending her all these weird filtered photos. And I'm like, that's not even like the real photo. So then I tell Maddie, I'm like, Maddie, I told you not to do it. Like I told you, or you can always say no. Anyways, well, this is my assistant at the time, and I loved her, and we were like getting along great. We were working great. She just straight quits over this lady. She moves out
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, she's like, I can't. My mental health can't take it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So of course now the girl's messaging me. I need you to fix this. I'm like, okay, fine. So I meet her up there. She's got like 4 kids, her friends, some guy she's seeing. I'm like, why are they walking around my salon? Like, get them out of here. So
sit down.
Yeah. So I really didn't even fix anything. The only thing that I did was I drug her root shadow down a little bit more. That's like literally all I did. Then she was asking me, I feel like that these hair extensions are like bad quality. And I'm like, come on. I'm like, you've had my hair before. She's like, well, they smell like the thrift store. And I'm like, I'm not even going to hear any of this. Do you want me to fix your hair or no? Because, like, I'm just, like, over it at this point. She's like, well, I know. I mean, maybe I'm just, like, in a bad mood or something. I'm just, like, stressed. Like, I got, like, warrants out, whatever. So I'm like, anyway, we fix her hair. I take a picture of it. She's like, I'm so happy. This is beautiful. This is great. Like, satisfied. I'm so sorry about Maddie. I did not even mean for her to quit. Like, oh, my God. Like, I really need to, like, watch how I talk to people. Like, I can't even believe this. Okay, I'm going to go drink. So she leaves.
She said she was going to drink.
Yeah. So she leaves. The next day, I have one of my favorite clients with me, and then I have a new client, and I'm like, cool, it's just me. My phone is blowing up. I mean, like, I had
vibrating off the table.
Yeah, I had 100 Facebook messages. Why can't stylists get anything right? How are you even still doing hair? Are hairstylists this selfish that they can't ever do anything what people want? Just this huge stream, and I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, what are you even talking about? So her and I go back and forth. I'm like, come up here right now, and I'm going to take that hair out, and I'm going to give you your money back, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm like, I'm over it. Like, come up here. Like, I was so mad. I was like, here's the address, because at the time we had 2 locations. And she just kept messaging me these Snapchat filtered photos.
It was really bad. On top of the Snapchat, because at this point,
I was like, what are you doing? I said, that's not even you. I was like, that doesn't look like your face, and that doesn't look like your hair now. It was like
weird shots of the back of her head, but the filter, and then there was a flash on it, so you couldn't see anything. It was just like a silhouette of her head.
Well, yeah, and then she's like standing in some like bad lighting, like some ghetto house, and I'm like, go outside and take a photo, and then let me see what it looks like. And it looked beautiful. And I'm like, see, quit it with these filters. She's like, no one ever gets it. I went to XYZ salon in Norman. They messed up my hair. But she just won't stop. And I'm like, so then she texts me this picture, a screenshot of like a male lion, like perched up on like the mountaintop. And she was like, this is what I look like.
Pride rock ass.
And I'm like, what do you mean that's what you look like? She's like, this is the color of my hair. And I'm like, so then my client was like, let me see, she's nuts. So then she like makes this thing, like the pictures you showed me, the lion picture, and then your hair. And literally her hair looked identical to the pictures that she wanted, her inspiration photos. And then, the lion is thrown up in the mix. And I'm like, what are you on? Or what do you need to be on? I'm like, this is the craziest thing ever. So I told her the next day, I said, go to the salon that you got your hair done. And my boyfriend will be at the front. He's the front desk manager at the time. And he's going to give you your money back. And I don't ever want to hear from you again. And I don't even want the hair. I was like, go pay off your warrants with it. I was like, and I'm like totally done. And that's what she did. And then, but I blocked her. But then I went to Sooner Fashion Mall and there's this salon called Lioness Beauty Bar. And it has like a lion like perched up. And I took a picture of it and I unblocked her. And then I sent it to her and I was like, maybe you should go here. And this was like months later, but I was like, I can't help it. I can't help it at that point. So she's definitely our number 2. It was the craziest thing. And then my new client came in that day and I was like arguing with this girl. And at this point, my client's like arguing with her. And I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, welcome. This really does not happen here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
No, but my favorite part is like, it was so bad that you were just, but I feel like a lot was going on. It was like weird girls messaging your girls. And then that like cricket guy was like talking about your work.
Well, I think that next.
And then you posted
her
like
her friends ended up like, and it had to be her or her, she probably has no friends. It probably was her, but like, so they were commenting like on my photos for like the next week. Yes. Like this doesn't even look like anything good and just all this crap. And I'm like,
we hadn't even met at the point. I'm like signing them. I'm like, girl, let me put on my black outfit and who we fighting? And you're just like, whatever, weirdo.
Yeah, scary. That was kind of scary.
Okay.
So drum roll, please. The number 1. So this isn't.
So what should we call this? A complicated construction.
Yes. Perfect.
So this is a shared experience between me and Tracy.
Yes.
Again, I had just started.
So
on top of me just kind of, for lack of better terms, fucking up people's hair. This is probably one of the first, if not the first client. I know it was the first extension client license that I got from you. Mm-hmm. Great client.
Yeah, I just couldn't get her in. Love her. Yeah.
And I mean, I was happy. I was balling. Like, this is the most. I was like, ooh, I'm coming out the gate like rich. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And so let's skip. She shows me this video of her getting beat up. Because I'm like, oh, you're so pretty. She's like, oh, I have a black eye. And I'm like, I couldn't tell. And she's talking about like all these things. It's some woman that like kicks her in the head. She's being pinned down by her now husband. And then like some guy's like filming. It turns out to be his son. All these things. I didn't realize like it was her birthday that day or maybe like the next day.
Oh.
So I'm like going through her head and I'm like, oh, you have like this weird breakage. At one point I told Tracy, I was like, I know I can do hair pretty decently. And she was like telling me that she like hated her tape-ins. So she ended up like ripping them out because they were poor quality. She couldn't get them out. And I said, that's not what it looks like when you rip out your tape-ins. Yeah. This comes into play later. So then, which side note, she's given us permission to tell this story.
Yeah.
Give or take some omissions. But anyways, to speed this up, I do all things to hair. She loves it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, she messages me, oh my God, thank you for referring me to AJ. I know that I'm a mess with my schedule, but I love him and I still love you and thank you. Everything's good.
I mean, boosting my confidence.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. We love you. Yeah.
Yay me.
Yes.
I can't wait to come back. Whole 9. So then within the week, I don't know what happened first, but she was like, hey, can you fix my extensions? And again, she's like messing Trace. She's like, it's nothing he did. Can you just fix it? I think I fixed her extensions. And I'm like, okay, Tracy, again, I know how to do hair. I know how to sew in a weave. I said, her string was like broken. Like it almost like looked cut and like where it came unraveled. Like this isn't a fix. Like this, something weird has happened. But I'm new. I don't know anybody very well. So I'm like,
oh, it probably maybe just something happened.
Yeah, and you're like, do you want me to fix? I said, no, I took her on. Like, let me just fix my work. I'm just like, let me do it. And I mean, she's super sweet. Like, she's probably so kind. Didn't have a problem with it. And I'm like, something is fishy here. This comes into play later. So then probably within 2 weeks, I want to say like within the week still, I get this weird message at like 11 o'clock at night. And it was like, I don't even know if it said my name, but it was just kind of like just, I don't even remember what it said. It was like, I won't like communicate with you or something just like strange, or hey, Jay, something. And something was like, do not answer, like do not respond to that. Because I'm like, did her weed fall out again? Or did something happen? So I'm like nervous, minding my own business. In the morning, I'm getting ready. And this is before like we kind of talked regularly. You call me. Do you remember like the call? Because I'm like, I'm really just like, because it was early too. What did you say when you called me?
I just said, are you okay?
Yes, because it was
He
like.
was like, I mean, yeah, I'm getting ready for work. I'm like, oh.
You were just like, it was almost like you said, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, why?
And I was like, okay. Well, it wasn't too early.
It was like 7:30, almost like 8 probably.
Yeah.
And you were like, have you got any weird messages? And I was like, no. And then I go, it's funny that you say that. And for no apparent reason, I screenshot like my call log because I got a text and then I got like this weird number. And she was like, wait, what is this like number?
Yeah, what is the name of that?
And I said, I have no idea. It's like been calling me. And I was like, I just thought it was like spam. She goes, no, this is real specific. And she was like, her man owns this company. And I said, who is her man?
Whose man? Yeah.
So then I feel like you were like kind of talking to Josh in the back or something was going on. You were like, hold on, I'll call you back.
Josh had already been like, he was confused. So Josh, him being the front desk, person at the time, he was like, dude, I'm on the phone with this guy. He won't shut up for like, he's like, I mean, first I thought like his wife's hair got messed up or his girlfriend's hair got messed up. And I'm like, okay, he said, and then it just turns really weird.
Yes. And mind you, like, I still don't know like how bad this is. Like, it's been like a day and a half and I'm like, huh?
So then I finally go over the conversation with AJ and I was like, well, call the police. And Josh was like, well, I'm not going to call the police. He hasn't shown up here. He doesn't know what location y'all are at. He's like, because if he shows up here, I'm beating his ass. And I'm like, okay, anyways.
And at this point, like the girls at the salon, because they're like, hey, if so-and-so comes up, because we find his picture and like whatever. And then what was it? One of the girls were like.
Well, that's later on. Okay, so we'll tell that after. But so first off, Josh thinks, okay, I mean, did her hair get messed up? What happened? Well, it shouldn't take this long to get her hair done. He's like, well, but sir, like sometimes women are in here 3 to 5 hours. Like it's, I mean, and he's like, well, why don't you know man touching my girl's hair? And he's like, well, but like AJ does my girl's hair and like they work together every day. And then he goes into saying, well, he's not really gay. This is what the guy was saying.
Because Josh was like,
well, sir,
have you met him?
He was like, but he's in a relationship with another man. He's like, I know how these guys work. They say that they're gay and they're really not. And he's just saying all these crazy, bizarre things.
I mean, he's angry.
He's very angry. So then he goes on to even more saying, I don't want a black man touching her.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, you know what? He's like, I'm done. I'm not even going to talk about this anymore. He was like, if you have something to say, I'm Josh and you can just talk to me about it.
Yeah. And you're still like, call the police.
And then like the whole time, he's like yelling at people in the background, like, shut the fuck up and like, blah, blah, and just like yelling at everyone. And he was like, I don't know if he's talking to people he works with or what. And so that was very, very odd.
So it gets weirder. So now that I know that this number is calling me, it starts calling me like all day throughout the day. And his job, like he probably has like, because he owns his own company, so he's self-employed. So I noticed that he wouldn't leave a message, but he kind of left like an accidental. So every time he was like calling, he was driving. And so eventually she calls me and she's like, or I don't know if she called me or she texted me. I think she called me because again, this was like around 8 o'clock and she was like, hey, like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. She's like, I'm so sorry. I apologize on his behalf. I said, I don't believe in people apologizing for things they didn't do. He doesn't know where I work, yada, yada, yada. Are you safe? Are you okay? Like, because she disclosed some other stuff. And I was just like, as long as you're okay, like, I can handle my own or whatever. But I think at one point he was like, you think I don't know people? And we're like, we got goons too. Like, we can fight, blah, blah, blah. But again, mind you, I've never spoken to this man. I've never seen him. Like, she at one point told me later on, she was like, I think when I showed him your picture, he was upset about it. And I was like, I mean, he can come get a piece if he want to. Like, don't he got money? No, I can't be bought. I really cannot. Anyways, so it gets weirder. So let's condense this story. I decide one day to actually answer the phone because I had the time. So I'm in like a State Beauty Supply in Dell City, and it's really small. He's like, what's up, N-word, you mother, blah, blah, blah. And I just started laughing because I'm like, that is not how I thought this was going to go. Like, I thought he'd be like, oh, you been screwing my girl, whatever. And I'm like, I said, so you went for the easy insult. And he was like, oh, you think this is fucking funny? I'll whoop your ass. And so I hang up on him. Yeah. He calls me like back to back to back to back to back. And I just keep declining the call because I know that's what he wants. And I was just like, the only thing that hurt my feelings is I was like, no matter what you accomplish in this life, sometimes people just reduce you down to a racial slur. Like, I was like, you can call me anything, but I was like, I've accomplished so much and that's all you saw. Or just thought that would hurt me. I was like, no, whatever. So then I think it's over and done. She gets married to this man. We're watching her stories. Yes. She's like...
Greatest day of my life.
Me and Tracy are like, she's like, hey, did you see her story today, dude? And I'm like, no, let me go look. One day she like blocks me. But before she blocks me, it was so sad. Like he was still just doing shady stuff. So right after they get married, like a week later, maybe within 2 months, I'll give him more credit than he held out for so long.
Yeah.
I screen record. I don't know why. She's like, this man's supposed to be like the love of my life or whatever. And she's like, he was supposed to be at Lowe's getting lumber, and I drove over there.
I followed him. He hasn't been home.
It's not funny. It's just like, how does this happen? She's like has this camera and like they're in the truck and they're just like looking at her laughing. And she's like, who is this woman? She's married. He's married. Do you care? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, I think I know who this is. Apparently, like when the camera goes off, she got beat up in the parking lot again. It was just weird.
That's it, yeah.
And the next day, she's like posting like, the text. I thought I knew who this woman was. She seemed so familiar. I figured it out.
I know where she works. I'm headed there right now.
It's a glasses store.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, this is where she works, dude.
She went out the back.
She goes in there and you can just see the lady run. And all you hear is, the lady sounds the alarm. And they were like, you need to leave. And she's like, this woman was having an affair with my husband.
And assaulted me last night. And I already filed a police report.
So then I get another call from her. I don't know how long it is. And so
we're just thinking, well, we'll never see her again.
So my boyfriend at the time, I said, oh my gosh, pull out your camera, like record this. It is the most awkward phone call I've ever had in my life. And I knew it was like a test. It was almost like when like they're like, they have a hostage and like, tell them to give me $50,000 or you're dead.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I knew the stakes were high. And she was like, hey, I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry again. And I said, hey, you don't have to be sorry. I was like, nothing has happened to me. At this point, it's funny. I'm just kind of tired of getting the phone calls, but I heard you got married. Like, congratulations. You looked beautiful. I saw the pictures before we couldn't be friends on social media. Like, I wish you all the best. I hope that you're like happy. Then she was like almost like, in my opinion, like crying. She was like, oh, thank you so much, dude. So skip forward. She's like, Tracy, will y'all take me back? Dude. And Tracy's like, AJ, do you feel safe? Like, do you feel comfortable? I was like, I don't really think anything's going to happen. If you want it to happen, like it would have. I was like, I like her. So she comes to another location. I was like, he doesn't know where I am. I started doing her hair. Phone call after phone call after phone call. she was like, I'm buying makeup. And I'm like, girl, ain't nothing open. It's 8:30 in the morning. So she puts him on speaker, or maybe I can hear him. And he's like, where are you? I miss you. And she's like, I'm leaving your ass. So she like lives in this rent house up the street from him. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. I ain't whatever. So then, perfect timing. His ex-wife sends him a screenshot. She goes, why the fuck is he calling me? Sets off the whole thing. He calls and he was like, baby, where are you? I just need to see him. She was like, you dog ass MF. She was like, I fucking hate you. She was like, why are you calling your ex-wife? And they're hanging him. He's like, just tell me where you're at. I'm coming there because I love you. I said, don't bring that over here.
Yeah, no.
Please don't. So I said, you know what? What's really going on? I said, honestly, I don't feel unsafe. And like, we were like checking in each other because I worked at the Paseo by myself a lot. And so even Josh, and he's like, bro, I'm just calling to see if you're all right. And so I was seeing like pictures of me like looking out the window. I'm like, I'm on high alert, but whatever. So she goes to tell me that, and this was really sad. And so this is why kind of was a horror story. Just all this stuff, like being married, it should be like a joyous whatever. And she was like, he knew I loved my hair. He hated that I enjoyed doing it. She was like, he hated that I liked getting it done and just who you were as a person. And she was like, you know, keeping his business more private. There were things that she feels like he hasn't dealt with, and that's why he had like a problem with me. She was like, but he was pulling my hair out. And I said, I knew I wasn't fucking crazy. Like, she was like, he'd yank it out, blah, blah, blah. But to kind of like wrap this story up, I did her hair the other day and it was a great time.
I know, it was a good time.
And she was supposed to come on and, you know, she probably has her reasons or it just didn't line up. But she basically like confessed and she was like, yeah, I mean, we fight, we argue, whatever. And, you know, we do support her in making healthy decisions. And that's always like a conversation that we have. And if she was kind of in any danger that we knew of, we would take, you know, the necessary precautions. But, you know, people have to learn there's certain ways and we just hope that it's not detrimental. But she was just like, he don't know that I'm here, this, that, and the other. And I mean, she's just near and dear to my heart because it's like I never thought that that would happen, especially like in my first year. And it was just funny because it was something that me and you like shared together. And I think it's still going to get maybe crazy at some point.
I think it'll, whenever they're fighting. I think now they're getting along and we've kind of got over him, whatever he's doing.
I would love to meet him.
I would too, actually.
Yeah. But that's like our top 5. I feel like there's so much that I left out.
That is our number 1.
Oh, yes. Side note, she did tell me that she was put up to make the phone call to me.
Yeah.
Because he said, I know y'all are effing lying.
Oh, my goodness.
And when you call him, I'll know that if y'all have chemistry and if y'all had sex.
Okay.
And she said, you passed with flying colors. And I was like, because I don't like women.
Yep.
More stories to come. I wish we had time for honorable mentions, but
yeah, but it's kind of, that was a long episode for just you and I. Usually we take up the full hour if we have a guest, but
we've had people kicking indoors.
We've had a lot of that for next Halloween.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our Halloween edition of Hair Mafia.
We hope you guys have a safe and happy and enjoyable Halloween. PSA, please check your kids' candy. It's a good time, but we know how this world is, not to be like negative or jaded, but please be on high alert because we want to see you guys and hug on you and love on you and not hear anything bad happen. So trunk or treat your heart out and, you know, look at some cool, scary houses.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you,
you guys.
And newer listeners. Bye.
Bye.